your business to a whole nother level. And as subtle as this is, I'm excited, guys, because some of the do's and don'ts that happen at meetings are the difference between growing your business or having a stagnant business. And so keep that in the back of your minds as we go through the information here is that be open, be open to hear the information, be open to apply the information, and just be open to learn. Just open up your minds and let's dive right in. So, meeting etiquette, how to have a successful home meeting, and we're going to talk about business etiquette. So, the premise here of this training, folks, is that the building blocks of building a successful building starts with a home meeting. Now, a lot of times, people are doing just presentations online, which is fantastic. I mean, we've been growing like that. We do our sales that way. We close our solar sales. We do our water systems the same way. But there's something magical. I'm telling you, I've been in this business now for over 18 years, and there's something magical when people come together. There's something different that you just don't get when you're online. And this is where relationships happen. They may start online, but they go offline, folks, because we do life together. And so the bread and butter and the benchmark of any network marketing company, any direct sales company has always been, can you do it in the living room? Can you do it across the kitchen table? And so meeting etiquette starts there. We're going to go further and we're going to go into office etiquette and we're going to go into event etiquette and all these different things. But understand that your home meetings are important. These online meetings also have to have a certain business etiquette. For example, make sure that you remain on mute, especially if we're recording this presentation, it's going out and streaming live. You want to make sure that you have your do's and don'ts also when you're online. So that's why I'm recommending, folks, that you take some notes and take a piece of paper and a pen and go ahead and write down. Just real quick, online, just give you one quick thing about online meetings. I get people that get distracted all the time. They forget they're on camera and they start doing crazy stuff that they're not supposed to be doing while they're on video. Some people start, writing on the screen of the presenter during the presentation. So all of these are little do's and don'ts that even happen in presentations such as the one we're having right now. So for starters, folks, when you're having one of these home meetings to start off your business, when you're doing a launch or you're helping somebody launch their business, this is a checklist that you're going to give to yourself. We're going to get to the team one in just a second, but this is a checklist for yourself. When you get started, write all of these things down. This is your checklist. The first thing is you want to have a sign-in sheet or have a laptop ready for all guests. Now, that laptop, folks, sometimes people have sensitive information on their laptops. I prefer having old school sign-in sheet. Maybe, I'm just, becoming a little bit of a dinosaur here, but I do believe that there's something magical that happens with pen and paper, and people actually having to sign in rather than registering on a computer. And you also have the added benefit that some people are technically challenged and may not want to use a computer or they're germaphobes or who knows, but sign-in sheet always works. Now, take that a step further, going a little off script on what you're seeing on the screen. If you also have little name tags, right? Now, name tags are silly if you know everybody, but the people there may not know everybody. So if you have little name tags, that works very well as well. Typically, maybe not in home meetings, but definitely in small business settings. If you have a small office or you actually rent out, a place at a school. I remember when I started in this business, we used to rent out schools, we used to rent out churches, we used to rent out office space, so we've done it all. We've seen it all, right? But sign-in sheets are very important, not just to know how many people were there, but because you want to have the sheet to be able to follow up. Remember, Jim Rohn teaches that the fortune is in the follow-up. And I can't stress enough how those sign-in sheets get lost all the time because somebody's not following up correctly. So, phones on silent. This is for you, okay? Now, we're going to be touching on this over and over again, but the phones must be off, okay? don't be distracted. Don't be on your phone. Don't be surfing. Don't be looking desperate to see who's here and who's not. If they're there, they're there. If they don't, they're going to be there next time, or it wasn't for them. But keep your phones off. The most embarrassing thing that can happen is your phone goes off while you're presenting. And trust me, it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. Make sure that your phones are off. Now, this is another one. If you have kids, make sure they're already in bed. Make sure that they're with a babysitter. Typically, I don't think they're going to be in bed if it's around 6, 7 o'clock when you're doing a home business, or 5 o'clock, probably still awake. Get a babysitter, invest in your business, make sure that there's no distractions. Not that your kids are unruly, maybe your children are not. But there we go. Somebody was writing on the screen here right now. I don't know what that OK button is, but somehow it's distracting. I'm not sure if I'm doing it or who's doing it. I see this little OK button being popped up all over the place. But anyway, kids in bed or with a babysitter, invest in your business, hire a babysitter, and make sure that you have zero distractions. Okay. Pets outside, folks, I'm scared of dogs. So if I walk into a house and there's a big old friendly dog that they swear to God will never bite you or anything like that, I'm distracted. I can't pay attention. I don't want a dog on me. I have 4 dogs at home. They're small little dogs that, for my children. But if I go into a business setting, somebody's house, and there's a big old dog, I'm going to ask them, could I'll leave, or I'll let them know I'm scared of dogs. Do you mind if you could maybe put the dog in another room? So if this is your home, don't make somebody uncomfortable. Put the pet outside. Yeah, maybe he's a darling. I mean, I have 4 little wonderful dogs, but if I was in a business setting, number one, they're not going to shut up. They're going to be barking the whole time. They're going to be distracted, and it's just not a good thing. So just put them outside, put them somewhere else, make sure they're quiet, they're not being noisy with the different guests that are there. No pad and pens for your guests. What for? For them to take copious notes while the presentation is happening. Remember, you might have heard the presentation a million times already, but your guests have not. And so they're going to be able to take some notes. There's a lot of information that we cover in our presentation. So, giving them the ability, if they forgot to bring it or whatever, it also gives them something different to hold other than their phone, right? Because some people are not going to listen to you. And we're going to get to that in just a second when we talk about the team etiquette. But give them something else to hold so they're not distracted with their phone the whole time. Give them pens and make sure that they have the opportunity to take notes. Cool room temperature. This one here, folks, I'm going to give it leave it up to your own criteria. I've heard both ways. I know that if I'm at church, I preach, and sometimes the air conditioning is so high that people are uncomfortable and they can't no longer pay attention because they are super uncomfortable. The consensus out there is to keep the room cool so that people don't fall asleep. My suggestion is learn how to present so you don't put people to sleep. But that's me. If you want to put the room cool and you roll that way, that's fine. I would I would not make it so cool that it makes people uncomfortable. And I've had that happen, and people have commented on this many, many times. And it's kind of split down the middle, right? Some people believe it's that's the way to go. I'll leave it up to you. Again, I've seen it where people get very uncomfortable when it's super cold and they can't even concentrate on what's going on. Refreshments as guests arrive, no alcohol. Now, again, water when they first come in is fine. I wouldn't go past water. Okay. So that's it. Water, or if you're serving lemonade or Kool-Aid, whatever you're doing, but just, keep it just something that they're going to be drinking. No snacks, no nothing that they're going to unwrap and, start becoming disruptive or noisy, nothing like that. Okay, snacks, veggies, chips, dip after the presentation. There it is. Okay. So water's totally cool. It also gives somebody something else to hold instead of their phone. And if they're feeling awkward, they're a little out of place, you come over to them and, they're in a room with a bunch of strangers, you give them something to hold. It does miracles in terms of getting them to calm down a little bit. Okay. And then upbeat music before and after the presentation. I wouldn't go with anything that had any vulgar language or anything like that. Something upbeat and whatever, but not everybody likes every type of music. So be very careful with what you pick. Make sure it's tasteful, tactful, and that you're not going to offend anybody. But most importantly, folks, having these meetings at home should be fun. If you're not having fun building this business, and you're doing it wrong. Now, folks, I can remember when we first started, we had to figure all this stuff out. Um, and it's trial and error, but we would I remember we would go all out and cater food in and do a barbecue and all this type of stuff, and it gets so distracting. And that's not the point of the presentation. It's not a hangout. It's not, this is a business meeting, so run it as such. Yes, are you going to be able to have some time to hang out at the end? Yes, but after business is conducted. So keep that in mind, that this is a serious business that you're building. This is $1 million business. This is a tens of millions of dollar business. I mean, people in this business are going to dramatically change their lives. So all of these things are going to help you get there. Now, in a home meeting, there's usually going to be a host. In an office meeting, there's always going to be a host. Usually, it could be up to 3 people. In fact, it could be up to 4 people that can do a presentation. The host is the one that goes through what I call setting the stage or preparing the audience. Now, I'm going a little off script here, so if you're taking notes, now's the time to do it. I do a training that's called preparing the audience, right? And it's 6 steps. And basically it starts with setting the stage. The setting the stage portion of it is 6 particular steps. Number 1, it's an introduction. It could be, hey, my name is Danny. Boom. It could be as short as that is your intro. Hi, my name is Danny. Second, welcome. Welcome to our business opportunity. Again, very short and sweet, but these are steps that need to happen, right? So number 1, hi, my name, well, excuse me, introduction. Number 2, the welcome. Number 3, turn off your phones. Okay. Now, this is for the audience, right? You're preparing the audience, but team members, this goes for you as well. It's not just for the audience. You should not be on your phone scrolling. You've heard the presentation a million times. Again, I'm going a little off script here, but turn off your phones. Unless you're a neurosurgeon, unless you're on call to go to the hospital and operate on somebody, you could survive for 35, 45 minutes in a presentation, in a business setting, to support your team. Okay. So very, very important. Phones are very, very distractive, and they're very disrespectful to the speaker. So again, introduction, welcome, turn off phones. Now, then after phones, you're going to address children. And we're going to get to that. I have it in here somewhere, but I'm just telling you what this 6-step process of setting the stage is intro, welcome, turn off phones. Number 4, address children. This is a business setting, so we love children, folks, but tonight this is no children zone. So if you do have a child with you and they happen to cry out, then we're going to ask you to please take them outside or do whatever, right? And this is literally what we would tell people. I mean, there's no, everybody should already know that there's no children coming. You need to make that very perfectly clear when you make your invitations, when you invite people. Hey, you know what? It's going to be a business presentation, so there's no children, and people respect that. People understand that, right? And then there's going to be some that didn't get the message, or the rep was too shy to tell them. But look, if they're looking for an opportunity to make millions of dollars, they could go and find a babysitter if it's that important. And if you edify the meeting properly and you set the stage properly in terms of the importance of what they're going to be listening to and who they're going to be listening to and what they're going to be learning, then there should be no reason for children to be there. Children could be very, very disruptive in a meeting. They don't just disrupt the parents, but the people around them and the speaker as well. So no children allowed. So that's number 4. Number 5, and this is super, super important. It's right here on the presentation. So I'm going to actually move forward here. Hold all questions. Now, notice how it doesn't say hold all questions to the end. Okay. That is not what you do. When the host, this is what the host is doing, right? These steps that I'm giving you right now. Step 5, okay, in my opinion, for a successful meeting is by far the most important step. Hold all questions. This is what if you're taking notes, now's the time to take notes, folks. This is what we used to say, and we trained our teams to say the exact same thing over and over again, almost verbatim. We never, and I say it again, never said, We're going to have a Q&A at the end, or hold your questions to the end. None of that. Okay. So if you want to write something down that I believe will be very, very meaningful for the success of your home meeting or business office meeting or hotel room meeting, do not promise a Q&A at the end. Okay. It doesn't work. It's not set up to work. It sets you up for failure. Okay. The natural outcome of the presentation should be people just running to sign up. That's what should be happening at the end of the presentation. Okay. Not a Q&A. Okay. So this is what you say. If you're writing this down, write it down. I think this is being recorded, so you could come back and hear it again, but something to this effect. So once you finish telling them, hey, no phones and, no children and all of that, and you welcome them, the introduction. Now, folks, during the presentation, please do not interrupt the speaker with questions. The presentation has been designed to answer all your questions through the natural progression of the presentation. All you need to do is pay very close attention, and all of your questions will be answered. Done. There's no Q&A at the end. There's no, at the end, we'll answer questions. That's not what the ending is for. The ending is for signing people up, not to answer questions. Okay. There should absolutely never be a Q&A once that speaker is done at the end. Typically, you'll have the host will do the intro and everything else. You'll have another person that'll do a portion of the presentation, then another person that does the middle of the presentation, and one the best speaker or the biggest money earner, they'll typically do the last part of it, right? The close. But once that speaker is done, you need to train your team. When the speaker is done, you could signal that it's over by popping music on again, or simply by starting to pass paper applications. Now, if you're taking notes, I'm going off script here. You're not going to see this on the slide, but the way we used to do it, and again, these are suggestions, folks. There's a million ways to do this. I'm just sharing what was successful for us. And it was massively successful. So it comes from a place of experience, not a place of theory. This stuff works if you implement it and you do it right. So at the end of the presentation, right, once you go through, hey, there's 3 types of people in the room. One person says no. If you are a no, this is what we would say. This is what the speaker was trained to say. If this opportunity was not for you, this presentation is now over for you. So please feel free to exit the room. Now, the second person might be, or is looking to maybe become just a customer, right? So your first person, now, you got to understand this. And when I'm saying this, I know that the feeling is, oh my God, I can't say that. But we would train every single speaker to say this at the end. Okay. We come to the end of our presentation. We usually have 3 types of people. The first person says, no, this is not for you. If this is you, and this is not for you, then we thank you for coming here today, but please don't feel obligated to stay any longer. This presentation is now over for you. Bam. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, in 18 years, not one person, well, that's not true. One person did get up and actually not ran, but like swiftly left the room. And I was in shock, because this is like years into us saying this, and that had never happened. We had never had that reaction happen where actually we just said that and somebody like swiftly exited the room, and we're like, okay, all right. So we finally offended somebody, right? But we didn't. The guy was running to his car to get his credit card information to come back and sign up. That's what happened. So one person did get out, but he did it so that he could go and get his wallet to be back in the room so he could sign up. That's what happened. So in 18 years of me saying the exact same thing and training hundreds of people to say the exact same thing, not one person has gotten up and left. Now, that's not to say they did not get offended. I've had people tell me afterwards, days later, months later, a year later, they mustered up the courage to say, hey, you know what, when you said that, it really made me feel uncomfortable. It really made me feel upset. And I almost left. And I go, but you didn't. No. And you signed up? Yeah. Okay, then we're going to keep doing it. There's something that happens when you take something away from people at the end that makes them want to stay. But it's also, and again, I'm going off script, guys. So if you're like taking notes, take notes because I'm giving you a lot of information here on how you could successfully do a meeting. Once the speaker is done and says, okay, the second person just wants to be a customer, maybe you want some solar panels, maybe you want the water, maybe you want this, maybe you want that, you want the smart money, whatever it is, come and be a customer. We welcome you with open arms. And then the last person, now that's the one we want to lock arms for. And so if you're ready to go, then we'd love to have you. Thank you so much. That's my time. God bless. Once I'm finished, once I'm saying number three, the rest of the team is passing out paper applications to everybody that's sitting down, whether they ask for it or not. Everybody's handing out an application, right? So you have two people on each row or in the middle of the living room, whatever, passing out applications to all the guests. Okay. When you hand something to somebody, the natural reaction is they're going to take it. Okay. So now they have a paper app in their hand. Okay. Now, once the music goes up, it's done. The speaker doesn't stay in front of the room. And the reason why he doesn't stay in front of the room is because he doesn't want a Q&A to happen. Now, folks, the reason we don't do a Q&A is not because we're scared of the questions. Okay. That's not the reason. Okay. What I'm trying to show you is that it's a waste of time. And and what happens is when you set it up the way I just set it up for you, music pops up, the speaker's done. Paper applications are now in front of everybody. It sets it up so that the reps can actually conduct business. Okay. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. Okay. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to give you the rest of this so you understand and hopefully it all makes sense for you. So you edify the speaker by talking about their past, present, and future. Again, this is what the host does, right? So I'm kind of going back now to my list here, but I needed to make it a very important point about hold all questions. And I gave you what to say, right? One more time. I'm going to give it to you one more time. Folks, you just finished telling them about the kids and the phones and all of that. And folks, please do not interrupt the presentation with questions. All of your questions are going to be answered by the natural progression of the presentation. It's designed that way to answer all your questions. All you need to do is pay very close attention and all of your questions will be answered. And then you go right into the next step, which is edification, talking about yourself a little bit as the host, and then edifying the speaker, okay? And that's where we're at right now. So you edify the speaker, talking about their past, present, and future. And that's a whole training in itself. I'm going to be lucky to be presenting tomorrow night. We're going to talk about leadership and some of the things that leaders have to do. They need to learn this stuff because they need to actually be able to teach it in this business to be able to build it successfully. So I'll touch a little bit on that later, but that's a whole training in and of itself. And then as a host, as a team member, sit down and participate, take notes, stay engaged, stay excited, participate with the speaker. Don't interrupt the speaker. My goodness, I've seen it where the actual reps will interrupt the speaker or even ask questions during the presentation. The presentation is not for you. The presentation is for the guests. Okay. So please do not interrupt the speaker. Participate in a way where you're adding to the energy and the buzz and the feeling and the ambiance of the room that's conducive to helping people that got their guests there have a successful outcome. So continuing on with team etiquette, dress appropriately and for success. Can't tell you how important this is, folks. It kind of became a joke at the Mentor Factory. I think it was at the Mentor Factory. I was running around all day, went to the water factory, and once we got back, it was late in the day, and I was in a hoodie. I was in a little hoodie that said, I'm 52 years old, 1973 or something. And I said, Carla, everybody looks very casual today. I think I'm just going to present in jeans and my hoodie. And she goes, no, you're not. And so I'm like, really? No, you're not. And I was like, oh my God. So we all need these reminders, right? So I actually went upstairs and I called JC and I said, hey, JC, what's the director? What are you wearing? It was like the weirdest question I've ever asked JC. I said, what are you wearing? And he goes, I'm in a suit. And I'm like, okay, are you like suited and booted, full suit? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, all right. That's all I needed to know. Click. And so, it's that etiquette. dress for success, folks. This is a business opportunity. Now, if you're not going to dress formally, which is totally fine, wear the gear of the company. Wear your gear, your hats, your hood, your t-shirts, your hoodies, whatever it is, a sports jacket over your BYLD shirt. All of that is appropriate, but wear the brand, wear the gear, right? You shouldn't be I mean, if you're talking about millions of dollars, folks, you have to have a level of professionalism when you're doing these opportunity meetings, whether it's in an office or whether it's in somebody's home or even at a hotel. Dress like you're dressed for success. Arrive early before your guests arrive. I can't tell you, look, we all have situations that happen. This Sunday, I was preaching in Fontana, California, and I was a preacher, and I literally had to call and ask them, hey, do two extra worship songs because I'm late and I'm stuck in traffic. Every single light caught me, and it was just horrible. But it was my fault. I should have been there early. And so don't do that to your guests, right? Be there, be intentional, start on time. If you notice, whenever I'm presenting, I start right on time. That's just the way I was raised. That's just the way I've done business. If you want to give somebody, 5 minutes grace period, you know what I'm thinking? I'm not thinking about who's going to get there. I'm thinking about the disrespect for the people that got there early or got there on time. That's what I'm thinking about. And so, again, everybody's a little bit differently. Everybody has different tolerance levels, and that's fine. But be on time. Start on time and finish on time. Very, very important as well. Finish on time. Sometimes we get excited and we go on and on. Make sure your cell phone is silent or off. Now, this one is for the team. We just talked about what it is for the person that's conducting the event to turn off all phones. But now this applies to the actual team members, right? You're there to support the meeting. You're not there to be on Instagram or Facebook or whatever else, right? You're there to support your teammates. So make sure that your phone is on silent or off. Keep the mood upbeat, positive, and friendly. That's where you help with the ambiance. Introduce your guests to other builders, right? So all of this is part of what the team etiquette is. Sit with your guests. Don't go to the back. For some reason, there's not even a water cooler in most places, but you always see the same people at the back of the room, right? No. If one thing that I've learned over the years is that one of the biggest ways that you can participate is by sitting and being engaged with the presentation, taking notes, and helping people along the way. Okay, so we're going to continue a little bit more with team etiquette. Remain in your seat throughout the presentation. Now, folks, some people, if you have a weak bladder and you have to get up and you got to go, right? But, if it's not that big of a deal, tough it out for 45 minutes, guys. Everybody can do that. Participate with the presenter. What does that mean? Well, when they do a joke, even if you heard the joke a million times, laugh. That just gets, it gets you excited, right? It gets the room excited. And so participate, it works. I'm telling you, these subtle things are the difference between people wanting to sign up or not. Even though you're thinking these are silly things, they're not. They make it, they turn the meeting into an event, into something that people want to be a part of. I want to be a part of these people. I don't understand everything. I don't understand the whole deal and the dual team and the smart money and the travel and all and the solar and the water and oh my gosh, and all these numbers, and you can make $1 million and people are already making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's so much information, right? But people sign up not because they have all the info, they sign up because of how they feel. And that's so important, folks. Okay, so don't interrupt the presenter or ask non-related questions. Don't apologize for no-shows. If they're not there, they're not there, and this wasn't for them. Or, you'll find out later what happened. Sometimes real things do come up last minute and people don't make it, but you could follow up. Again, that's why you need that sign-in list so you know who didn't show up and who was actually there. And that way, when you call the list, you're not fumbling and trying to figure out who's who. Okay. Introduce guests to presenter after the presentation. Team etiquette here, folks. Take sidebar. We're going off script here, but this is my pet peeve, okay? I see it where the reason you're taking your guest to the presenter, folks, is because you want that presenter to help you in obtaining commitment from your prospect. Okay. That's the only reason why you're doing it. It's not just to, hey, how are you? Hi, whatever. No, it has to be intentional. Because if you have, if you're doing everything that I've just described in your home meeting, then when you take your prospect to the presenter, you should be edifying the presenter to your prospect, not edifying the prospect to the presenter. And I see this happen time and time again. I just don't understand why people do it. It's not in your best interest if you want your prospect to sign up. What you need to be doing is edifying the presenter to your prospect. Okay. And there's a whole training on this, but it's so important that you do that, because here's what the word edification actually means. If you're writing this down, write it down. The definition is raising the level of influence of another. Okay. Raising the level of influence of another. That's what edification is. And how do you do that? Right. Well, we're not going to cover how you do that on this training, but you have to learn how to do it. So I will be covering a little bit about it on tomorrow's, not a whole lot because the topic is leadership, but we are going to touch a little bit on it because it is a skill that you must master in order to be able to teach it. Okay. So, introduce guest presenter, my pet peeve. Do not edify the prospect to the presenter. It's the other way around. You're going to edify the presenter to the prospect so that you have a better chance of that person to obtain commitment to the opportunity. Ask presenter questions after all guests leave. What does that mean? Well, when they're gone, now you could talk about the weather. You could talk about what's going on next week. We could talk about, hey, I signed up and there was a little glitch and something happened in customer service or whatever it is. Ask it after the guests leave. Okay. Now, if you're new and you're there, you don't have a guest, but you already know the process and you're trained and you're part of that team, help the new affiliates get signed up. That's what you should be doing. So if you don't have a guest, guess what? That meeting needs you. If you do have your guest, well, guess what? You need the meeting. But be a team player, right? If you don't have somebody, if you're not busy, don't just leave. See how you can be helpful to some of the neo reps that are there. Sometimes a presenter, he's bogged down with 2 or 3 other conversations going on at the end. And if you could step in and help somebody out, do it by all means. Okay, so after the presentation, okay, this is where we're going to pick up our conversation about no questions, and here's why. The questions are going to be answered, but they're not going to be answered from the front of the room. That's a no-no. That is presentation suicide. Okay, you have no idea what somebody's going to ask, and you have no you have no way to gauge what impact that question is going to have on somebody else in the audience that might have already been ready to start. Somebody asks a stupid question and just forget it. It's like it just sucked the energy out of the room and you're done, right? It could be, well, I went online and I saw a review of freedom or some crazy nonsensical thing, and they had a 1-star review in a house in Kentucky and in an obscure little town somewhere, and I want to know what happened or whatever it is, right? But something so off the wall that even though they do thousands upon thousands of installations and they're the number one across the United States, they're going to focus on some dumb review that's out there, right? All of a sudden, the person that was ready to go probably wanted to be a builder, probably wanted to put solar panels. Now he's got to go research and he's got to go look for himself. He's got to do all that. That's what happens when you open it up to a Q&A from the speaker being in front of the room. We're not scared of the questions, guys. That's not the point. The point is the whole purpose of a home meeting is to launch your business. Okay. The only reason we have them is because you want to grow your team, or you want to sell solar, or you want to sell filters, or you want to sell smart money, whatever it is. The outcome is somebody is signing up. If that is not why you want, if we're not jiving on the reason why the meeting should take place, then we need to do another conversation, because the only reason why you do a presentation is for people to sign up. That's it. That's the reason. So you want them to make a decision, you want them to commit, you want them to focus, and you want them to succeed, not for your sake, for their sake, folks. See, in the presentation, it says, why should you start a business? Because no one's going to save you. That's exactly right. Nobody's going to save you. 95% of the population control 5% of the money. That needs to change, right? The patterns that we have been sold on, which is go to school, get a good job, go to college, get a degree so you get a better job, and da 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 da. 95% of the people bought into that story, and guess what? They control 5% of the wealth of the country. And 5%, guess what? The C students that never went to college, never went to school, never went anywhere, those are the guys that typically are the 5% that control 95% of the wealth. So that's why you want a presentation. You want the outcome of the presentation would be you have a new team member, you have a new client, you have a new solar deal, you got to get on the page of why you do these meetings. And what I'm showing you here is how to make that meeting so intentional that the natural outcome of the meeting is going to be more signups than you could ever dream of. So when you close the room, number one, if this is not for you, folks, thank you for coming. This presentation is now over for you. Do not feel like you need to stay here any longer. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless. Boom. You're letting them go. Then the second person, you want to be a customer? Come on over. You want to be a rep? Come on over. Thank you. That's my time. The music pops off. Applications are being passed and put in the hands of everybody. Guess what? Now you train your team members to ask certain questions. You're asking the questions right now, okay? And you're going to say, are you ready to move forward? Non-threatening, very nicely, very easy. Are you ready to move forward? Do you see yourself as a customer or a rep, or a customer or a builder, a customer or affiliate, a customer or a rep? However you want to word that one, that's fine. I don't care. But both outcomes are good for you, right? The reason you can ask these questions and you can ask them this way, listen to this, guys, okay? This is important. The reason why you can ask these questions, because they already have an application on hand. And you're thinking, paper apps? Yes, paper apps, okay? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to argue with you that paper apps are good, okay? You might be, well, I got a computer, I got a Mac. Well, yeah, so do I. Paper apps, because there's something that a paper app can do that a computer can't do, okay? One, they have it in their hand, okay? Two, they already heard that if they weren't interested, they could go. See, here's what's going to happen. When you say, hey, I'm done, the music pops off, the people that didn't get up because it was embarrassing to them to get up when you told them to leave, they will get up immediately once the music starts, once the speaker walks, from the room, or whether it's a stage, they get off the stage, and there's no Q&A. You already told them, hey, if this isn't for you, go home. Those people will now get up and leave. And that's exactly what you want. If they're not going to be a part of the business, then you want them out of the room. You want the people that do want to be a part of the room, they want to be a part of the business to stay in the room. You want the negativity to get out of the room. So just like I told you, hey, in 18 years, nobody's ever gotten up and left. I could also tell you that in 18 years, once it was done, the music's playing now, and we're breaking out, and the applications are in people's hands, the people that weren't going to sign up, they clear the room, they go home. And that's exactly what you want to happen. Okay, I want a quick little temperature check here, guys. Quick little temperature check. Are you guys getting some of this? Are you guys understanding what I'm talking about here? Is this making sense, or is like I just kind of want to just get a little bit Okay. All right. I see some fire emojis. I don't know if I'm burning up or it's good or what, but all right. Well, all right, then we're gonna keep going. And again, guys, please understand that the only reason, okay, I believe a lot in influence and I teach on influence, right? Um, these are the principles of leadership. You know, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, right? That's what John Maxwell says. Eh, what I'm teaching you here are principles of influence, but it comes from a place of, I know that if you sign up, your life is going to be better. I know that if you follow me in this endeavor, you're going to make money. I know that if you sign up here, you're going to develop as a person. That I know this. Okay. That's the intention behind what I'm doing. To me, it makes no difference if the person signs up or not, because my lifestyle is not going to change one bit, whether it doesn't depend on one person. Right. And it won't depend on you either. So never be like, oh my gosh, if I could only sign up this one person. It's not. It's never even the people you think it's going to be. You might think, oh my gosh, this person's just going to blow it out of the water, and they do nothing. And then somebody comes out who like you would never imagine. Could you almost didn't even tell them because you already prejudged them. And that person's going to surprise you. It's happened to me so many times. And so at the end of the meeting, application in hand, you're going to train your team and yourself. Now you have the right to ask, are you ready to move forward? And there's like, it's either going to be a yes or a no. And that's what you want. Okay. Do you see yourself as a customer rep? Same thing, right? I'm going to throw going off script a little here on the application. Okay. Now you take it from them. Do you see yourself as a customer rep? And you're not looking at them. You're looking at the paper and you're looking at the application and you want to check off customer rep. And you're not looking at them. You're not making eye contact. You're looking at the paper, at the app. So you can't do all this stuff with a computer, guys. I'm telling you, you just can't. Okay. So now you're looking at you're looking at the paper. They're over here. They got to make a decision. You want to start as a customer or as a rep? Both. Wonderful. Okay. And now inside, you're like, oh man, this is great. Okay. Which services would you like to start with? Right? Because if they got to be a customer, right? Because you got to be a product of the product. So which one are you going to start with? We're going to be looking for solar. We're going to look for this. We're going to look for water. What are we doing here? Right? Again, these are all different types of ways to ask for the order, right? To obtain commitment. That's what it's all about. I don't close anybody, folks. That's not what I do. Okay. I obtain commitment. And I know that word is used in sales, and it's fine, guys. I don't find it offensive. I know some people do. So I learned from Neil Rackman to change our language, right? Obtaining commitment sounds right for me. Why? Because I know that any one of these answers, if they're positive and they're affirmative, they're going to be part of my team. That's not the end of the transaction. See, closing is very transactional. Obtaining commitment is relational, right? It's relational. And when they say yes, that's when the real work started. So it's not a closing at all. When somebody signs up and joins your team, guess what? You're in a relationship with that person, right? Or you should be. If he's just another number or just another rep for you, then you've already been in this business too long. Move on, do something else. Get excited. When you have a new person on your team, get excited. Get excited because you're changing lives, guys. That's what this business is all about. It's changing lives, not just on income. Personal development goes hand in hand. Your check is direct proportion of how much you grow as a person. Now, I love this one, okay? Same thing. You're looking at the app. You took it from them. You're looking at the app, and you're asking, can you give me the correct spell? How do you spell your name correctly? I don't care if it's Joe. Joe, how do you spell your name? How do you spell it? And then just look at the application. If they start giving you the spelling, done deal. If it's like Joe, OEA, maybe that's how he spells it. Who knows? But if he starts spelling, done deal. Done deal. Okay. Do we start you under your business name or your personal name? It's another way to, ask for the order. But you don't have to be shy. Why? Because he's still sitting there. If he's still sitting there, that means he wants to sign up. Why? Because you already gave him permission to leave. The speaker already did that for you. He set it up, right? If it's not for you, goodbye. Thank you for coming. See you later. God bless you. This presentation is now over for you. You already cleared the room the minute the music started. Those people that needed to go, trust me, they're already gone. If they're still sitting there with an application in hand, they want to give you their number. They want to give you the spelling of their name. They want to tell you what services they want. Now, here's where some questions will happen. But now the room is set to where ding, 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 ding. Somebody signed up over here, you ring a bell. Ding, 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 ding. Somebody signed up over here, you ring a bell. Now it's just, oh, okay, well, I have a question, and you answer it, you give them the information that they need, and the natural progression continues. But now the ambiance is, hey, it's not just me making the decision. Oh, they signed up. They said, oh, you know what? There's something good here, and I like it. I'm vibing. Boom, 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 boom. It's contagious. And so now this is where the setting is appropriate one-on-one to answer their particular question, not a question that is asked in a room full of people with different mindsets, different things, different experiences, different traumas, different whatever, that'll set them off and just end the opportunity for them and for you, because you decided to do a Q&A at the end, or you thought, we're going to do a customer service thing and, all questions at the end. That's not what we do. That's not what we do. We never do that, ever. If there's one thing you take away from them, please never promise that you're going to have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Unless your goal, your ultimate desired outcome is for people not to sign up, then go ahead. Okay, so let's continue on here. Obtaining commitment continued. So now let's say they say yes, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Keep writing. Keep writing. Fill out all the application, right? Keep writing. Schedule their launch and home meeting date. That's the one thing that you want to get out of that, right? They're never going to be more excited than the day they sign up, period. That's when you say, okay, look, we want to do this right. We want to set you up right for success. Boom, let's get a date scheduled so that we can actually get you started fast, right? So when would that be? Is it this week, 48 hours from now? Boom. What's that date? What does that look like? You typically want to do this within 48 hours. That's when they're excited. That's when they want to do. Otherwise, folks, life gets in the way. If you take it out to 72 hours, the likelihood of that ever happening and launching them quickly and fast and efficiently is going to go down drastically. Promote the Monday trainings. We have some phenomenal speakers, Mr. Sam Bean, Mr. Julio Aquino, Mr. Ed Ayala, Mr. Jason Angel, Mr. Wences Navarro, Carla Pacheco. And if I'm missing somebody, if I'm leaving somebody out, please forgive me, folks. I've actually have not slept in 24 hours. And I know that's not a good excuse, but it is the truth. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. Sign up the builder. They're ready to go. Sign them up, right? And then I would stress this right away. Refer, pay no more. Sometimes the launch event may not happen in 48 hours. Just logistically, it may not happen. But get there for immediately, right? You don't have to have a launch party to do that. And that'll be another training, another conversation on how to do one-on-ones, right? But get them to start thinking of that refer for. Look, who are the top 4 people that you think that could join you into this business, right? That's the first thing we want to do. We want you to have an asset. But once you have 4 people on your team, this business doesn't cost you. It has now become an asset. Wow. I'm going to have an asset. Yeah, you're going to have an asset. Let's go find those 4 people that are going to join you on this, right? And boom, do that immediately. Okay. So now, again, once again, we're talking about the questions, right? This is the right setting. everything that we've done now. We set the stage, we did all that, we edified, we set it up so that at the end, right, the people that shouldn't be in the room are no longer in the room. And now you're one-on-one and you're handling these questions about how to become a builder, how to become a customer, and then overcome whatever their objections are. Now you're doing it there one-on-one. Get an advance, okay? And if you were at the Mentor Factory, you know what an advance is. If you don't know what an advance is, then you should go next year to the Mentor Factory. We're not going to cover it right now, but if you want to know what it is, I'm going to tell you where you could find out. Go buy a book called Spin Selling. It'll be the best 30 bucks you ever spend. Telling you, it'll teach you so many different things. And advance is something that will actually continue the sales process, right? And not just end it. And that's a good thing. So set up an advance. I'll give you another clue. You need to have a very specific time, a very specific date, and a very specific location in order to qualify as an advance. That's it. We're off that subject. Or you overcame their objections, and again, you're going to sign them up. Okay. So now they say no. I would say, wait a second. What do you mean no? You should have left 10 minutes ago. You had your shot. What do you mean? You were here. Anyway, I'm just being funny right now. But thank them. Thank them. Hey, you know what? Thank you. Let me check down the road. Maybe in 6 months, I can follow up and see what, if your situation changes or whatever. Sign up as a customer. Look, we just signed up a gal that originally had said no, completely closed off to any opportunity of this type, and just recently signed up and is just super happy and everything. Life happened to her, right? And she's like, okay, I need to make a change. The pain was enough that she's ready to listen, right? And now is excited out of her mind, going to build this business, right? So it happens, folks. So don't give up on people. Thank them. Don't be rude. Let them know, hey, let me check back with you in 6 months, see if your situation changes, and we'll talk again, blah, blah, blah. I know it's not for you, but you know what? This is a business for me, and I really want to succeed in it. Do you know anybody that might be interested in making some extra money, or might be interested in this, or might be interested in that, right? Get some referrals. All righty. Let's continue on here. Lastly, folks, as we close out here, key points to remember: over-invite. Okay, over-invite. 50% of the people are going to flake on you. So if you invite 5 people, you might be sitting in a room with 2 people or 1 person. Okay. Over-invite. I don't care if your living room only holds 10 people, over-invite. Invite 100 people. The best thing you could do is having the standing room only. Folks, I'm telling you, that's something happens. The energy just explodes when everybody's there. It's the best thing ever. It's a good problem to have. So over-invite. And if more people showed up, it's a good problem to have, right? If they're uncomfortable and it's hot and everything, it's a good problem to have. It's good for you. Okay. So don't be like, oh man, I only have, a couch that fits 3 and a couple of chairs that fit in a couple more people. And maybe I have the dining room chairs that I can bring over. Also maybe 10, 11 people. No, you can fit 50 people in the living room, folks, when they're super excited out of their minds, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be a good problem to have. Don't prejudge anyone. Guys, don't prejudge anyone. Seriously. My wife and I own a skincare line, and it has nothing to do with BYLD, right? But it was so funny because I prejudged this one gentleman that he's actually a high functioning special needs person, and amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Went and sold out like 30 packs of it. I was like, what? And just prejudged him. Didn't know. So don't prejudge anybody, because you will be surprised what happens. Okay. Where it says here, we do it all with you while you learn. Folks, I can't remember seeing a company that's more interested in training its reps than this company. You have so much that is being trained on a day-to-day basis. Now, you can't even keep up with all the trainings. I mean, there's companies that don't train ever. This company is constantly training, constantly making super Saturdays, doing, hey, let's go out here to get educated on water. Let's go over here and learn about solar. Let's go to the office and learn about sales. Let's learn. And now the series that we're doing for December in preparation for 2025, folks, giving you all of these things like meeting etiquette and leadership trainings and the millionaire mentorship, all of this, folks, is for you. It's for you guys. I'm telling you this for you. We're running on 15%, 85% of the money that comes in is allocated to the compensation of the field. This company is for you. Let me say that again in English. This company is for you. Let me say it one more time in Spanish. Esta compañía es para ti. It's not for the ownership, folks. It's for you. Trust me on that. Invite 24 to 48 hours in advance. What this means, folks, is that you don't want to say, okay, well, today is December 10th or whatever. I think it's December 10th. Yeah, December 10th. And you know what? I'm going to have a home meeting on January the 28th. And an RSVP, it's too far out, way far out in advance. You're thinking, oh, that's just 30 days. That's just a month from now. No, we could all be dead by then. Okay, that doesn't work. Schedule your appointments, and this is how I schedule an appointment, folks. Okay, it's like, I have time right now or later this. If it's in the morning, this is what I say: I have time right now or later this afternoon. If it's the afternoon, I say I have time right now or later this evening. If it's in the evening, I say I have time right now or tomorrow morning. If it's tomorrow morning, I have time right now or later this afternoon. And if it's the afternoon, I say I have time right now or later this evening. If it's the evening, I say I have time right now or tomorrow morning. Learn to say it. Learn to say it right. Hey, look, I have time right now or later this afternoon. There's no 24, and that's not even 24 hours, folks. That's like within a 12-hour cycle. That's, when we're in build mode, that's how we build. Okay. I'm just telling you, this stuff works. I didn't make it up. Okay. I'm not that smart. I didn't make it up, but I've learned it over the years. I put it into practice, and folks, it works. So the game plan is once you register your new builder, to schedule that launch ASAP within 24 hours. Again, if you're starting, if it's in the morning, you want to start that launch in the afternoon. No, I'm just kidding. You want to do it within 24 hours. Schedule your whole meeting within 72 hours, folks, and let's get after it. Now, going to events and promoting events, you got to get really good at this, folks. You got to get really good and intentional about this. And I'm going to tell you, I was blown away when I met Ed Ayala and Julio Aquino. And that's my time, folks. I was about to tell you something brilliant, but that's my time. I got to go. So I want to thank each and everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to finish my statement. Mr. Ed Ayala and Mr. Julio Aquino, phenomenal people. They flew in. They had about 25 to 30 people of their team that came out to an event in California. That was my first exposure to them. I'm telling you, I'm blown away about the level of commitment, because they understand how to use events to build, how to use events to promote and grow their business to a whole new level. So the real quick, folks, the cycle to financial freedom. What happens at this event? Your belief goes through the roof. Okay. When you see the experts, you see the testimonies, you see the people that are making money that are just like you. You see people that started after you that are making money. You're like, oh my gosh, if they did it and they started after me, I can do it, right? Energy. You're going to see the energy of everybody there, all the positive mental attitude and all of the golden nuggets that you're going to receive. Is just going to be, puts you in a frenzy, folks. And then that frenzy will drive you into action. That's actually going to be the results, right? So don't focus on the results. Focus on the actions, right? Go to the events. That's an action. Go to the events. Get trained. Get around the proximity factor. Get around the people that have had success. You're going to pick things up, folks. And over time, remember, you go to school 12 years just to get a high school diploma. And then you go another 4 years for a specialized career. And then maybe another 4 or 5 years to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, right? And, if you get a couple of no's in your first month and you're done, no, you got to keep going, right? I don't believe in motivation. I believe in motive action. The motive has to be strong enough to generate the action, right? So figure out what your motive is. You'll put the action to it, right? and focus on the action, not the results. If you focus on the actions, the results will take care of themselves. And then the building strategy with the events, folks, it starts with the home meetings. That's the bread and butter. That's the foundation. Then those are the opportunity meetings, right? Like the ones we do every week, or it could be a bigger opportunity meeting in a local area, a regional training, like a Super Saturday, right? That maybe a few counties like LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino County, all get together at a regional event. Leadership events, like we had the Mentor Factory, that was more sales driven, but trust me, there was a lot of leadership that was touched on there. But those leadership events, folks, are going to be coming to you. Take advantage of them. And then, of course, the national events. So you're building from event to event to event to event to event to event, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, folks, I want to thank each and every one of you for being on this training of meeting etiquette. We're wrapping it up. We're closing out. I'll leave you with the last final thoughts. At these events, it's the easiest and most non-threatening way to obtain commitment from a prospect. Okay. Don't work hard. Be smart. Let the experts do it for you. It's going to unlock potential. I was at a birthday party this weekend. I'm not going to say any names, but the commentary that I was overhearing was amazing at how fired up a couple was after this event. So fired up that they're hitting ranks, so fired up that they're ascending, so fired up they're signing people every day, so fired up that they are so busy now with their business of taprooting their people. And it all was from one event that they attended. It made the whole difference in their business. So it unlocks your potential. It builds your belief, right? Because you see other people doing it. Hey, this is working. This is real. Whatever is not happening or clicking or driving or meshing with me yet, I have to be at these events because that one little piece of the puzzle is going to become clearer. And as I train and as I focus on the actions, it's going to start happening for me. So you build the belief because that proximity of other people and their success is going to carry you, folks. It trains your teams, right? You don't have to do it alone. Your team should be trained by the experts. And that's what happens when you get your people to the event. Keeps people engaged, keeps them in the game. Look, folks, I'm not going to say names because Amway would be upset if I mention their name, but people don't stay in Amway for 30 years because they're making money. They stay in Amway for 30 years because of how Amway makes them feel about themselves. Okay. I've had people that tell me their testimony is like, I've been with 30 years and you know, it got me off of drugs. I've been 30 years and, you know, my wife, you know, our marriage was saved because of Amway. You know, I've been in Amway for all this stuff, you know, and whatever it is, right? My dog died and they were there for me at Amway, right? Whatever, but it's about how they make them feel in the personal development, the culture. They don't make a dime, but they're there, folks. And now there are some people that make money there. I'm just, please, you know, edit this out or whatever. But all I'm saying is the vast majority don't. You don't get a testimony at Amway where one guy made $58,000 checks on one transaction. It doesn't happen. It happens here, and you're going to see a lot more of it. You know, it doesn't happen where a guy just started and made $100,000 in a month. It doesn't happen, but it does happen here. So just trying to put things into perspective, okay? So we also, now imagine when we build that culture, as we're building this culture right now, right? And with the money, and with the culture, and with the personal development, oh my gosh, there's no stopping us. And this is where the recognition happens, right? It says babies cry for it, and men die for it. Recognition. And women too, right? Women too. Everybody needs to be recognized at these events. The edification from the stage of the reps, not just the top people, but of the people that are actually hitting ranks. It's just something powerful. It creates momentum in everything that you do in the business, and it creates something that's duplicatable that you could teach and have other people succeed with it. Folks, I want to thank each and every one of you for being on this training. It was exciting for me to be your host here. And tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, I'll be teaching a little bit on leadership, and hopefully I'll see you there. So folks, again, want to thank you for your time. And just quick check here. How's everybody feeling? Everybody, you know, with this training here? If I said something that rubbed you the wrong way or was offensive, folks, I do apologize. I'm teaching from the heart, and I'm teaching of what works and what's worked in at a high level. So So hopefully you got some golden nuggets. I want to thank each and every one of you for being on here. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Pacheco.
Awesome training.
You are the best, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you,
Thank
sir.
you,
Reverend.
Mr. Pacheco. Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Appreciate you.
Great training. Thank you.
Awesome training.
Fantastic training. Thank you.
Thank you.